I was shocked. I think I was shocked as everybody else when I received the resignation letters from Mr. Tolley and Ms. Moore. I personally had no idea. And I'll put an asterisk on that, that there were internal issues with the current council and the city manager, with the exception of information I learned from Ms. Broughton and others on the campaign trail in 2021, and and face-to-face conversations with my constituents on the campaign trail. And those were stories from different and opposing sides in the argument, and previous administrations. So I took it with a grain of salt. And because there's always going to be multiple sides to every story. And, as far as I knew, I personally thought, things were pretty good over there. And in fact, I was looking at information, on the internet today. Mr. Tolley, he told the Expo Telegram on June 30th, the day before we were all sworn in, that the Clarksburg, West Virginia's Robinson Grand Performing Arts Center is moving in the right direction. So, I was more shocked to learn not too much later, after I received the resignation letters, that West Virginia News and the Exponent Telegram had the resignation letters breaking on their Facebook feed. My initial thought was Mr. Tolley and Ms. Moore had told the ET. But after reading the article, obviously it was clear that someone on council had notified the press. And, the drama that unfolded on social media was sad, shameful, and regretful. So, let me preface by saying that I had personal reservations about the Robinson Grand in 2012, 2013, when the talks were going on about it. I told several people on the campaign trail that's how I felt about it. But never in my campaign or my platform, my agenda to be on city council, I was targeting the Robinson Grand for anything. I believe that most people have heard me say that it has to be supported, and it has to be the crown jewel of Clarksburg. For our investment and the recovery of our city. And it's not the revitalization, it's the recovery of Clarksburg. So I find it disappointing, and I expressed it to Mr. Malcho some briefly earlier, that he felt compelled to email the resignation letters to the former mayor, the news, a member of the public who's present today, Ms. Broughton. And it has hurt the integrity of not only our council, but the entire city itself and the Robinson Grand. And it shows to our constituents and our employees that electronic information is no longer private, and sensitive personal matters are subject to dispersal to anyone who has access to it. And I also believe the release of the resignation letters violated Chapter 8, Section C, Item C of the Personnel Administrative Policies and Procedures Manual, which I will read to you, which I included in an email. I'm sure maybe some of you have seen it. Disclosure of confidential information. No city employee, now of course, city employees, that's kind of a gray area, shall willfully and knowingly disclose for pecuniary gain to any other person confidential information acquired by him in the course of and any reason of his official duties, nor shall any public official or employee use any such information for the purpose of pecuniary gain. Notice that the language specifically states public official and not public employee. I also find it very hypocritical that Mr. Malcho stated today in a public statement that he felt auditing the emails was a waste of time and resources. He spoke earlier a minute ago about that. But on November 30th, he demanded the city manager compile a list, and the list is this thick, I'm sure you guys will see it, of all the email correspondence between the city manager and council regarding the Robinson Grand, presumably so he could email the same people, maybe more, of what was being said about the RG and private emails. I personally have nothing to hide in the emails. I think I stated in an email, you may have seen it. I have no problem admitting that I personally reached out to our city manager twice to voice my concerns and disappointment when I received complaints from my constituents and concerns regarding the vaccine requirement to attend the second showing of Stomp. And while I was disappointed by his response that he gave me by telephone, the decision was made and there wasn't much I could do about it. I did not pursue anything after that. With the exception of the interest in knowing the differences between the two shows when it came to attendance, costs, and sales. I just wanted to know the difference between it. Something I didn't share with anybody, it's just something I kept and read. So, I don't believe this is the act of a whistleblower valiant, do good stuff. This isn't Ed Snowden, this isn't Julian Assange, WikiLeaks. This is the resignation letters of two city employees who had issues with the city and its leadership, obviously. It seems like the proper channels were avoided and intentionally released to show the city and members of the council in a negative light. Something that I find below pay, childish, and repugnant. In the end, I would like to wish Brian and Emily the best in their endeavors. I thought they were doing a good job, with the exceptions of the concerns I voiced to Mr. Falk. And I believe we'll find a solution to keep the RGO on the right track. And its success will not be determined by the departure of Mr. Tolley and Ms. Moore. I honestly believe that if things went differently in the last 72 hours, we may have reached a compromise with those people. Through some negotiations and, trying to work some stuff out. But after what's transpired, that's not going to happen. So, it's unfortunate, and, I'm displeased. And, I don't know what more I can add, with the exception of, have a great weekend. Try to enjoy Winterfest, and, we will move on. I think, we will find the right people to run the Robinson Grant. And, I'm not quite sure I like the idea of a committee, because I think we still have to have an executive director of the Robinson Grant. Who that is, well, I'm sure we'll find out. And I want to make it a speedy process. I want to get somebody in there that knows what they're doing. It's a nationwide search. Let's find that person wherever they may be and come here and do it right. Then let's put everything behind us, and hopefully that doesn't affect the process. Thanks.